from Chicago, it's Startup Hype Man, the podcast. What's up, everyone? My name is Raj Nation, founder and chief pitch artist at Startup Hype Man, where we help startups, scale-ups, and grown-ups not suck at how they pitch themselves so they stand out to their audience and stand apart from the competition. This podcast is all about bringing you the hearts, the minds, and the stories of leaders in the startup ecosystem, talking through the strategies they have deployed in order to build and grow their companies. And it's officially season 17 of the show, and all season long we've got a special treat for you, bringing you guests exclusively from the Startup Hype Man client portfolio, giving you a piece of their journey. Before we begin, if you're not a subscriber yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and remember, you can catch all the episodes from our 17-season archive and learn how to pitch your startup at startuphypeman.com. All right, get your popcorn ready and get hyped, because it's go time. Ladies and gentlemen, making his way to the microphone from Eaton, Ohio, and currently residing in Chicago, Illinois, he is the co-founder and CEO at Swish House. Please welcome, show me the money, Jonathon Dues.
Let's go. How you doing?
He is Jonathon Dues.
Business. I've met a lot of aces through Swish House, man. You're one of my favorite, man. So I'm honored to be a part of this. Thank you.
Well, and I'm super pumped to have you. So everybody, he's Jonathon Dues, as I mentioned, co-founder, CEO of Swish House. Swish House is unlike anything I've ever experienced before. So I speak on this, and not only as a podcast host, but as a customer of the product as well. And Swish House is the first and only basketball fitness class. And we're going to talk all about that in just a minute, but let's just kind of get through some more of the introduction stuff. Swish House has been around for just only a few years, raising $500,000 very recently after bootstrapping for a few years. They've expanded to 4 locations across the Midwest with a clear roadmap for global franchising over the next couple of years. And one of the big things they've done is create these amazing customer experiences. And I'm very excited to talk to Jonathon today because all this season, as you know, if you've been following along, we are exclusively interviewing guests who have been part of the Startup Hype Man client portfolio. And we had the opportunity to work with Jonathon about a year ago on their pitch. And it was great to see, when we got lunch recently, you were like, hey, we raised $500,000, exactly what we were looking for. So awesome to see sort of the growth and now the scale start to come into play. And the topic today, and again, I'm just so pumped to talk about this because as a customer, I have firsthand experience. The topic today is driving 85% retention through unforgettable customer experiences. Jonathon, why is this on your mind? Why is this important to you?
Oh man, because basketball, other than my family, is my greatest love. Than my wife and kids, my immediate family and my closest friends. This is I don't love anything as much as I love basketball. So it all started with that, and I actually had the pleasure of starting this business with quite literally one of my closest friends from childhood, Dave Holtzmuller, who we grew up on the same street in Eaton, Ohio, a small town outside of Dayton. Our childhood was him riding his bike down the street to my house to play 2-on-2 in our backyard with our best buddies. And both of us ended up being pretty legit high school, college players. I played at Hillsdale College. Dave actually played quarterback at the Air Force Academy for a year, then transferred and ended up walking on the William & Mary basketball team. So while Davey doesn't look the part, Dave is, I think of all of the founders, is the only dude that or gal that played 2 D1 sports. So it just started with like a lifelong love of basketball, and for me personally, it ended up being really a solution. I packed on a lot of pounds. I was a 195 shredded shooting guard in college, and ballooned to about 250 pounds 5-6 years ago. And just I was trying everything to stay in shape, and it wasn't working for me, man. And I tried all these different boutique fitness classes, and it just is not for me. I mean, those are wonderful workouts, just not for me. I missed basketball, but I always associated basketball with like playing. And when you're, overweight, not what you used to be, hoops isn't that fun to show up to a pickup game and get your butt kicked by somebody that's not that good when I used to. So I just had this kind of I'll never forget. I was at there's kind of two things going on. I had run, in my early, mid to late 20s, early 30s, I just was blessed to run into this incredible group of dudes here in Chicago, all ex-pro college players who were great guys. We played in all the top like pro-am leagues and, kicked ass, took names, went out drinking afterwards. It was a great time. And then, just kind of basketball kind of started disappearing because all of us started getting married, having kids, major, promotions. We just couldn't commit to getting in like a Tuesday, Wednesday night league. So we stopped playing. So then I started running a pickup game, one of the best pickup runs in the city. And I started bird dogging all these great locations, just great underutilized courts. So I just had this vision of like, if people are showing up to Title Boxing or CrossFit or Orange Theory, Core Power Yoga, all these, really specialized boutique fitness classes that aren't real mainstream, sports that are just beloved by, the whole planet, essentially. Like I looked at it like there's three things that it would take to build a basketball fitness company franchise. It would take underutilized space to activate in a, low cost, mutually beneficial manner, great people to lead the businesses, lead the classes, and sell memberships to anyone who loves basketball. And the beauty of this was we thought, like, could we build a fitness class that LeBron James down to, 30, 40 pound overweight, 55-year-old accountant in Chicago that maybe played on his freshman year or eighth grade basketball team or just loves the Bulls. Like if you could build a fitness class that a ex-pro or a current pro down to quite literally just a novice hooper, like if we could do that, most people fall within that spectrum, including you and me. You know what I mean? And you love hoops, I love hoops, and that's what we're able to do. So it all just started with a common love and just an idea on. I really think just because it's basketball, and there's so many people who love hoops. If you could build a kind of a non-contact hit basketball class, we got something there. So we started experimenting with it in 2018, and then formally launched in 2019.
We're going to dive way further into the Swish House story and how that has impacted the customer experience. Before we do, let's dial it back a little bit. And I want to learn more about you, the person. Now, you mentioned, basketball is your first love. I'm curious, what is your first basketball memory, whether watching it or playing it?
Wow. It was just, we had in my backyard, I harken back to Dave Holtzmiller, our co-founder, like my backyard, my dad, I'm the youngest of three kids. My brother loved hoops. My dad played high school ball. My sister, not so much. We just had a great little like 2-on-2 size court on the back of our garage. That was like the hangout spot for all the, like, all the dudes my age. Everybody just showed up at my house and we'd play 2-on-2. So like my earliest memory is just shooting around with my brother was 8 years older than me, so I always thought his friends were all so cool. And, he graduated high school when I was in fourth grade. So all his buddies who were like, stars on the high school football, basketball, soccer teams in our little town. And
so you were getting knocked around early, right? You had these like older dudes you're playing with who are like, you're trying to elbow your way into the lane and they're 7 inches taller than you.
Yeah. And I'm now, but I was a pipsqueak. I was like a late bloomer. So it was like, being the youngest of three, like I got, tossed around by older siblings and whatnot. My sister's, buddies, it was so yeah, just shooting around, man. And as I like to say, like that's my first memory. And like my last memory, was at Swish House last night. Like just company that like I joke around is like really what it is like these killer basketball where you're just shooting around listening to great music.
Yeah.
And you have an ex-pro or college player leading you through the workouts.
Now, one thing that I always am curious about, anytime someone has experience playing a formalized sport in their life, like on a team, either at the high school or the college or sometimes the professional level, is the life lessons that come out of it. So like for me personally, I ran track in high school, ran for a year at DePaul, quit, but there are so many direct things I can say today that help me run my company. What are one or two lessons basketball as a sport and experience playing in high school and college have taught you in running your company?
It's a great question. I would say unselfishness, just learning to be unselfish. It's not all about me. It's not all about, my ideas. It's collaborative. So I think it's just the concept of, basketball is the ultimate team sport. Like if you're a ball hog, if you're unselfish, it's a bad vibe. So I just think unselfishness and, to me, it's perseverance. Like basketball, like I was a shooter, I was a scorer. I didn't see the floor well. Wasn't like a true point guard by any stretch of the imagination. But you just perseverance. It's just like you will get your ass kicked in life. Everybody's gonna get their ass kicked in life at some point, and like you got to get up off the floor, pick yourself up. You're gonna get dunked on. You're gonna scored on. Like. And just staying with it. Like I always giggle. Like if I miss like 10 shots, I'll bet your ass I'm taking a game-winning shot 100 times, no matter if I've missed it. And every friend will laugh about that and say that about me. Like anybody who's played with me, like I think it's funny if I like, so I'm not having a good game. I'm still shooting the open shot no matter what. So I would say just perseverance. And I think just unselfishness is the two biggest things I've learned through basketball, no question.
Let's dive into today's primary topic. We learned the Swish House story and introduction and how this whole thing got started, but let's dive in now to what our focus is for today, which is that number, that key stat that Swish House has been able to accomplish, driving 85% retention. And that is through these unforgettable customer experiences. Now, I want to just let everyone know like my own perspective on this and let that kind of guide the questions here. And that is, so I first learned of Swish House a couple of years ago. My wife was looking for her own workout class to take, and she was searching through one of the apps. And she was like, hey, you might like this. And I don't know, it was like 8 a.m. on Saturday morning. Class was at 9. And I was like, and I saw it, and I happened to live a block away at the time. And I'm not kidding. I don't know if I've ever learned of a class, learned of something's existence, and then less than an hour later, I'm showing up to that thing. And, and it was like, I was hooked from the beginning. I had an amazing experience in class for that hour. And then when I left, I felt like I had to tell anyone who would listen about what I had just experienced. And I'm not kidding. It was a 2-block walk home that I turned into somehow a 6-block walk, just like in circles, going around, like the 4 corners of the block. Cause first I called my brother. He wasn't, I think he was working, so he wasn't available. And then I called one of my best friends, and he picked up. And we had like a 30-minute conversation about class. And I think I probably texted 2 other people as well, and ended up getting home 45 minutes later.
Raj, that's like exactly what we're going for.
Well, and it's so interesting, right? Because I walk through those doors and I'm in love, right? And I think the reality is I didn't just show up and then I'm like playing a standard pickup basketball game. So what I want to do first is kind of start with like the global or the overall perspective, and then start to break it down from there into like different sections of class. But I want to know from your perspective as the creator of this and you and your team, what is it that you just want your customers to feel? And like, what feeling do you want to leave customers with after a Swish House experience?
First and foremost, no matter who you are, no matter your talent level, no matter your health and fitness levels, we train every single one of our certified coaches who are all ex-professional college players. You have to have worn an elite jersey to be one of our coaches. Like if you were an okay, middle school player who loves basketball, like we likely won't hire you. So it's so important to ensure that our members feel welcomed, no matter who they are, from a talent or fitness level standpoint, and we treat them like a star. And so our goal is to always make members that understand that it's accessible. They can do it. You can go at your own pace. You don't have to be good at basketball. The average, this is one of my favorite stats. I mean, we've polled our members. The average experience level of our members is 9th grade basketball. I mean, most of our members did not play on their varsity high school team. But how many people do you know that didn't play on their high school varsity basketball team that absolutely love hoops, Right. And so that's the most important thing is what warms my heart you might be surprised. It's like, what warms my heart is when a severely out of shape person shows up with bells on to this and buys a membership. It is not when the ex-NBA players, and we've had those. Like we've had those. I don't, like I got friends that played in the NBA and WNBA. It's wonderful. What an incredible accomplishment. I care that we are going to eventually help millions and millions of people get in shape and stay in shape for the rest of their lives, because we built a fitness class that they actually look forward to going to. Like one of our best members, I remember Ben Shack told me once, he's like, I actually look forward. It's one of my favorite things that I like look forward to every week. He's got a wife, 2 kids, and it's like a monster job at like some huge investment bank. And he's like, I look forward to going to Swish House. How many people do you know like are just like, God, I can't wait to go get on that spin bike? Most people eyes. And it's just the fact that I have all the respect in the world for Peloton and Orange Theory and all these other shops. But like we've learned so much from these other entrepreneurs that have run and built those other fitness franchises. But the reality is a lot of those are contrived workouts that are fads that may not have staying power because people don't look forward to it. So it's making sure that every single member, no matter who they are, is welcomed like they're LeBron or Taurasi. And they feel nostalgic. They're in a gymnasium. Like you showed up to Mercy Home for Boys. How many times did you walk by that place?
I never even knew what it was.
It was. That's like my wife and I bought our first home on 1040 West Adams. And I knocked on the door. I was like, what is this? Like a Catholic school? And they're like, no, it's a home for troubled Chicago kids. And we have a lot of people who volunteer here. And I was like, you got like a gym here? This looks like a school. And they're like, actually, we have a great gym. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I started volunteering there. And then when I came up with started volunteering there like 2009 or 10 or something. And it, years later came up with this idea with Swish House to use their gym. They were our flagship like community gym partner where they gave us their unutilized space. But that's the idea is like you're in a gymnasium, you feel nostalgic, you're welcomed like a star. And then far more importantly not far more importantly, but immediately thereafter, when the whistle blows at the 10 a.m. class or the 6 p.m. class, like you are quite literally put through a workout that like NBA and WNBA players are doing in the off season. And you can stink at basketball or be awesome and burn 1,000 calories, and it goes by so fast. I mean, how fast do these classes go by? Because you're having a good time. I mean, doesn't mean it isn't really, really challenging. I mean, we have built this so that you rip 800 to 1,000 calories in 1 hour. But it goes by fast because it's really fun. When I created this with my business partners, namely Trevor Huffman, who's the creative designer of the class, him and Kristen Heidloff and Erica Prosser, Tommy Carpenter, some of our original certified coaches that built this, is like, we had to ensure that it's a ridiculous workout, as good or better than anything else that's out there. But if you can still make sure that people are having a good time, like great music, I mean, the musical experience is huge to this. So to me, I'd narrow that down. I know I've said a lot, but I'd narrow it down to people are welcomed like a star. They feel nostalgic and they are getting the best work out of their lives, but it goes fast because it's a good time. And it's basketball. You're doing basketball stuff.
Yeah. And one of the things you said there that I think is really important is it's an experience that people look forward to coming back to. It's not just that it's on their calendar and they're like, oh, I need to do it because it's in my routine. It's that, no, I want to do this. And I'll tell you, like, this coming weekend, we've got a maintenance person coming to our house Saturday morning and we're having people over Sunday afternoon. And I'm like, damn it, I don't think I can make it to class this weekend. And that actually pisses me off.
Yeah. No, that's
I tried deferring the maintenance guy to come on Friday afternoon instead, so that way I could make it to Saturday morning class, but then he wasn't free. So that's the level of decision making that I have.
That's the exact idea. So I think when I want to make sure I'm hammering this home with you and any of your listeners, is that like, not only, it's not like we just roll the balls out and everybody's like, screwing around having a good time. There's a very serious 5-pronged cadence to our class. That's the perfect mix of really intense cardio, skills-based hit stations, and competition. So it's very competitive in the class. There's no 5-on-5 or 1-on-1. You're not like playing live basketball. That's very important to note. Although we do offer like organized pickup games as a premium membership for some of our members. But the reason that people, I think, look forward to it, not only is it a good time, great community, people's names, you high-fiving people, you're getting to know each other, you're passing, you're interacting with other humans as opposed to some other fitness experiences where it's just you and you're just going to head down on a bike or treadmill, whatever. But here, people look forward to it because it works. Like it really works. You do this a couple times a week and you eat right, you're going to get in great shape. You're going to stay in shape because basketball is not a fad. Like you're not going to like wake up in 6 months and be like, I don't really like going to Swish House anymore. It's kind of getting old. Basketball, to people who like basketball, does not get old. And we keep our workouts fresh. The more certified coaches we bring in, the better our product gets. And we have 50 investors in the company. 35 of us are ex-pro college players. So when we open up Detroit, it's an ex-Michigan, superstar, Ashley Jones, who was a top 50 recruit coming out of the state of Michigan out of high school. So it's like you get her brain and her ideas and her new drills to go into different parts of our drills database. So everything stays fresh. So people are welcomed. It's nostalgic, and they get just an absolute killer workout that they look forward to because it's fun and it works. And they're going to keep coming back because it's hoops. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Can you break down, for those who aren't familiar, who have not taken a class, like let's walk through, like, what is that class experience from the moment, the first whistle blows and class starts all the way to the end? Like break down like how the class is structured and why it's done that way.
So it's three things we say, our brand, our class experience centers on three things: cardio, skills, competition. Rinse, repeat. Cardio, skills, competitions. Those are the kind of the three general things that you are just that you cannot rival, with no one else can rival, we feel like. But the specifics class experience is broken down into the following components. Like, so depending upon the size of the court, there's one certified coach that runs the classes with curated playlists that are 75 minutes long. So there's music going from the time that if you show up 15 minutes early, there's great tunes blasting. If you're there early for the 11 a.m., you can get some shots up, and there's some killer DJ'd. The best DJs in Chicago have curated our playlists, including me. My my long
DJ Dues.
my long lost like career miss with being DJ. I'm a phenomenal dancer, Raj. Like really get the people going. But the idea is the first call it 8 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes of class are what we call throwbacks. That's where we really center on nostalgia, man. That's like same type of music that's playing like at an arena during like warm-ups. You know what I mean? We even sprinkle in some like pep band music, so you're doing these are just simple dribble shooting drills where it's just like kind of think full court dribbling layup lines, where people are just getting their heart rate up. Okay. The first 15 minutes of our class were specifically designed by the head of sports performance for the Detroit Pistons, Trent Salo, who's one of our investors. We get the heart rate up, and then we get it, during throwbacks, and people just feel good. And it also enables our coaches to assess the talent, because you'll see them, as in our classes, you'll see, people in the throwbacks like dunking, and then you'll see, some guy or gal just like airballing half their shots, but they're still just running around, getting their heart rates up. So throwbacks is the first 8 to 10 minutes. Then we move into our injury prevention, where we activate ankles, hips, our shoulders, and getting the most crucial joints in our basketball bodies appropriately activated. Because we're huge on injury prevention. Many reasons that people like ex-hoopers get out of shape is they don't like to go play anymore. For a big reason is, I got 2-3 friends rip their Achilles or knees the last couple of years. They're ex-pro college players that just, people are scared. So injury prevention is huge. So we spend a good 6-7 minutes on appropriate stretching. We also kind of mix in dribbling and kind of skills development into our injury prevention, where it's kind of like stretching masked as like dribble workouts, so your hands a little crisper. I know that's what I lose if I don't play a lot, but so it's it's our throwbacks, get our heart rates up. Then we do an injury prevention, getting our basketball bodies ready to compete. We then move into what's called the Swish Lab. That's our high intensity interval training stations that are all basketball centric. So those remind you, a lot of our members, of like camp, kids camps, clinics that we went to as players, as kids, and you're bopping from one station in a minute to another. So it still has the feel of a traditional HIIT class that you might go to at some other gym. So from our HIIT station Swish Lab, we then move into, we call our basketball burn. That's the hardest part of class, where or I'm sorry, after our Swish lab, we move into game ball shooting contest. Game ball is our team shooting contest. It would be, we split up teams evenly, Team Raj versus Team Jonathon, 6-7 people on each team. And it's a best of 7 shooting contest series. What would be like first team to, 8 full court layups, Team Raj versus Team Jonathon. Then we'll move into like pull-up jumpers, threes, different, shots from different angles. There's just an unlimited, anybody who knows who has coached hoops, like there's just an unlimited supply of really fun, competitive shooting contests that we do. Tons of competitions, people talking smack, high-fiving. And what's really cool is during those game ball shooting contests, and there's 2 parts of the class where we have the shooting contest. Essentially that gives our members, like, there's typically 10 to 15 chances for each member to experience hitting a game-winning shot, like a buzzer beater. So like if it's like Raj versus, Team Raj versus Team Jonathon, it's it's first team to 8 threes. Your team gets to 7, you yell game ball, like the next person that, on your team that makes it wins. And like that person feels like a stud. And what I love happening, like I was busting the chops of like, studs that come to class, like a friend of mine, Robbie Hummel, played in the NBA, was an All-American.
Wasn't he just Purdue, like announcing like one of the recent Bulls games?
yeah, and Big Ten Network, but like an NBA player will come to a class and like it's serendipitously like Robbie will be like matched up against like some like frat dude or that maybe like went to Purdue who's just not that great at basketball, and he'll hit the shot and Robbie will miss, and like it's funny, Somebody will like beat me or beat like Trevor Huffman, and he was the founder of the class experience, who was a 14-year pro, like, and that's what's so cool is like people get to feel like I got to experience hitting buzzer beaters in college and high school and was like a star player, and like most people weren't, and like we make them feel like that. So we give everybody opportunities to hit big shots, and then we do, so it's our hit, we do our throwbacks, injury prevention, game ball shooting contest, Swish Lab hit stations, basketball burn, and then we finish with buzzer beats, which is like timed shooting contest at the end where one member every single class, one member hits a shot that like ends class, which is kind of a cool cathartic, big end to the 60 minutes. So it's very well thought out. But the beautiful thing that I love speaking to about our member experience, and this I think will resonate with anybody who's familiar with boutique fitness. All due respect to some of these other shops, these other fitness experiences, there's only so many ways that you can run on a treadmill. There's only so many ways you can pedal a spin bike, and there's only so many ways that you can do curls and shoulder presses, and you know what I mean, and push-ups. And those are killer, amazing workouts that have changed millions of people's lives. But the reality is those things can get a little stale and become fads, and that's why spin bikes and other things I think are going to collect dust on people's attics in 5 to 10 years from now because people get sick of it. So the beautiful thing about our experience is we empower all of our franchisees, our business owners, and our coaches who lead the classes. They get trained and certified on how to run our class and how to treat our members and the whole member experience. But they also get to put their own contests and drills and stations into their classes. So it's still like you go to Kristen Heidloff's class, played at Georgetown and is in the Illinois High School Hall of Fame. She's got her kind of personality. She's more of a bulldog. You know what I mean? Like she was like a tough point guard. And then, you go to Trevor's and he's more laid back and has different music. And like, everybody's kind of he has his own kind of European style, training methodology because he lived in Europe for 15 years after college. You know what I mean? So that's what's so cool about it is there's still, people can put their own thumbprints on the class experience, all of our certified coaches. So it never gets stale. It's always like, you'll never go to a Swish House class and be the same agenda ever. Does that make sense?
It completely does, as someone who has experienced it several times over. And there's a couple specific aspects of what you described there around generating that feeling that I want to expand a little bit further. Before we get into that, I want to just take a step back for a moment and just talk to our listeners about a partner of our show. And it kind of starts with just me asking you, the listener, a question. Do you hate Google Analytics? Maybe you do, right? I know I have a lot of frustration and issues with it because understanding where and why you lose site visitors before they convert is just freaking hard. And with GA, there's always some kind of integration challenge or there's a mountain of data to sort through. just to figure out what causes your leads to drop off. It's not the best experience. It's borderline nightmare situation, which is why I was excited to learn that there is a better way to measure web analytics, and that's Oribi. Oribi is a unique marketing analytics tool that captures all the events visitors perform on your website without using code. So you don't need to know code to use Oribi. Oribi enables you to analyze visitor behavior patterns, build smart funnels, and get tons of insights so you always know what your next step is. And again, it's basically through a one-click install. You don't have to know how to like program your site. And so it's an easier way ultimately. And what this means is that you're able to understand your visitors and know what to change in order to convert more visitors into customers or more visitors into users, which means no more blind spots. And I think we all want to operate without blind spots as we're running our businesses. You can get started with a free trial today at oribi.io/today, oribi.io/today. And as a partner of the show, Oribi's got a coupon code for you. Use the coupon code HYPEMAN, all one word, HYPEMAN, for 20% off any plan on their site. That's coupon code HYPEMAN for 20% off any plan. And the URL again is oribi.io/today. And today on Startup Hype Man, the podcast, we are with Jonathon Dues, the CEO and co-founder of Swish House. All this season on Startup Hype Man, the podcast, we are talking to guests who are clients from the Startup Hype Man portfolio. And in this, our current episode 9 of season 17, we're with Jonathon from Swish House here talking about how to drive 85% retention with unforgettable customer experiences. Now, before the break, Jonathon, what you were explaining was the class experience. You broke it down piece by piece, which is super helpful for everyone who has not been to a Swish House class to understand. One of the things that you mentioned within the breakout there was like the different, and this is something that I've picked up on as well as I like not only experience class, but then try to like, the startup mind in me is like analyzing it at the same time. Yep. Is sort of like the intentional design that gives customers a way to like win, if you will. Yeah. And what I mean by that is there are many moments throughout class where you can hit game ball. And not just you specifically, but the fact that it's like you're part of a team. So even if you airballed 4 in a row, your 3 other teammates in that group are picking up the slack, and maybe together you hit, someone else in the team, it's game ball, but you get the win by association. And then on top of that, what I've noticed as well is, in that like best of 7 series where it's, team versus team on opposite sides of the court doing the same drills, even if, your team wins the round, I've got a chance to steal that point from you on the other side of the court by just like, can I hit 2 free throws in a row? Yeah, right. So as I think about how that, like your job is to be an expert in Swish House. My job as host is to take that and say, how do we apply this to any startup, right? And I think about that even with like software. There are ways you can build that customer experience to give them the win, and as part of that as well, never or minimize the amount of isolation. Because like even in Swish House, even when you're going through like an individual drill, right? Even if I have to dribble to the cone, dribble back, and then shoot a layup, it's not like on my own, right? Because I'm tagging in someone when I'm done. Yep. And so in a software case, maybe it's, can you build a user community around your product? But I'm explaining all that because I want to know, like, was that, and I'm assuming the answer is yes, so perhaps you can just expand on it. Was that by design to say, how can we insert the like moments where they can win many times throughout class?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, you wouldn't believe the amount of thought and arguments and how bad the product experience was in the early days. Like our earliest days were just, it was like thumb in the wind. I was just like, I just think people just want to run around and shoot. Like there was like, and then I remember one of our early trainers, Nicole Vierneisel, she's like, I think we should do some just like kind of cross training sports performance stuff. I was like, what? Like footwork ladders and like plyo stuff? She's like, yeah, people will really want that. I'm like, I don't think they want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, so we had to, and then we were just like, does it have to be like the best workout in the world? Or do we just want to have like a fitness experience that's nostalgic, and not really like, it's just more like a good time. Like, people just show up. Like we've joked that like people like basketball so much that we could just like roll the balls out and charge like $15 each. Just let people literally like run their own workouts. I actually think people would show up and do it just because, people want to be on a court, and just dribble and like listen to music. So, but like, obviously it's much more well thought out than that, but without question, what we centered on immediately when we started like selling memberships, we were like, when we first started the company, we thought it was going to be designed for just like people who want to relive their glory days in basketball, like real players, like serious players who played on their, high school varsity teams. And God knows we have a lot of those people. But what we started learning early on was like, well, how many like Jonathans and Trevors and Ericas and Kristens are there who are like, full scholarship college basketball
small
players?
market size, small market size, especially in basketball. Of all the sports, basketball is the smallest pool of elite level players.
So good to like make it pro, let alone like play like people that get twisted like Division III. Like you have to be like absolutely unbelievable to play Division III basketball, and like most people who don't know that like just don't understand that. But like, and the point is, we I'll never forget like those early days when we all were in a room at the Soho House once. I remember we were, one of our founders had a membership there. We were just sitting there, we're like, no, we need to market it to just X studs, and we were like, no. The bigger pie is like people just who dig hoops. Like how many people just like basketball? Like if we can create the class experience to make the guy or gal who's not very good at hoops but loves the game and played pickup and on their sorority or frat in college or whatever, just like love shooting around with their uncle or their dad or mom, like that was like when we realized like we have to be able to build it and cater to make everyone feel, to your point, like a winning, positive culture. Everyone's tires are getting pumped, even if they stink at basketball. Like we are just saying great job to everybody if they're trying. Because like I said, what warms my heart is like we're actually, we just got one of the top cardiologists in the world, the chief cardiologist of Duke University's health department just invested in the company. He's joining our board. He's on the American Heart Association board. Like, we're going to make millions and millions of people across planet Earth really healthy for the rest of their lives because we built something that they enjoy doing and they can do and feel good throughout the class. So we purposely, we wanted to make sure that the workout was really challenging and you walked out of there like dog tired, but it's good, good for your body, injury prevention. So there's no live contact. You're not going to rip your knee. But more importantly, it was just to your point, like making sure that everyone has an opportunity to feel like a star, to feel really positive. And even if they do stink, like their team wins. So they're all like, hey, we won. You know what I mean? And we stack that, we make the teams, that throwbacks part of the class, like the warm up. And it's also like kind of a tryout because in the class, almost every class, you have 2 or 3 first time trial members where like you have to assess the talent and make sure that you even up teams. So like, any ex-pro or college player or coach can like watch 10, 15 people warm up and be like, oh, wow, that guy's really good. That girl's awesome. Those 2 people probably didn't ever play organized basketball, but they're here with their boyfriend or girlfriend and they're having a great time. So it was all designed to make people feel good about themselves and have an opportunity to feel like a star, and when you have a Trevor Huffman or Erica Prosser telling you, great job. And, Erica's jersey's retired at Lehigh and she was a professional athlete. It makes you feel good. It makes that person who maybe didn't make their high school team, but likes basketball as much as I do. That was so important to us. So it was very, very deliberate.
Well, and so 2 things off of that. One of them is that point you're like, it's very intentional that like the nostalgia drills open up class during the warmups, because I think especially for someone who's new, it's got to feel like something they can do right off the bat.
Yes.
And anyone who has played basketball, even the only team I ever made was my 7th grade B team. Right. But what do we all do? Even if we play casually pickup ball, well, before a game starts, we shoot some layups, right? We try to like run back and forth to warm up, or even one step further than that. When you go and watch a college or a professional or a high school team play as an attendee, as a fan, what do you see them do before the game? You see them do this thing. So there's an immediate like recall with that. And when you watch someone else, even if you watch, the Lakers doing that before a game, you can at least say to yourself, for the most part, I could probably dribble that ball and at least get to the hoop. Even if I don't make the layup, I can at least do that. Right. So it's like that's that first win. And it's like the low hanging fruit of getting someone to say, I can do this. One of the things that I talk about a lot in like my trainings is, and this is more on the side of how to present something. But I think it applies just as much to the customer experience, is this idea. I call it like the run and jump. And that is, I use Mario, original Nintendo NES Mario 1, right? I use that as the template to say, when you turn on that game, right, you just pick like, one player game or whatever, your only two options with that controller and that screen are run or jump.
Yeah.
It is not. And if you look at like, it's actually one of the best like case studies of user experience and design, because if you remember the game, right, Mario is on the left side of the screen. And then there's just like open field or like open brick that he runs on in front of him. And you have to start and they specifically put you against the far left of the screen, which kind of indicates you can't go backwards. You can only go forwards. And then you start going forward, and then, oh wait, there's this Koopa coming towards you, which kind of indicates you've got to do something about it. And what do you have? You have a button that the only thing you can do is jump because you've already ran. And then they start introducing the blocks and the bricks and the questions and the other bad guys, but they don't start the game with all of those things on the screen at once. It's got to be this like progressive learning experience. By the time you get to the end of the first level, you've actually, without realizing it, learned all of the game mechanics for the next 8 worlds that you're going to play. And I think similarly, that's what I think is happening here with the Swish House experience is in that first 5 minutes, right? It's such a simple introduction that pretty much everything else that you're going to experience is some version of what you just did in those first 5 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah. Spot on.
The other aspect that I want to ask you about is, you talked about how, you get Erica Prosser who's saying great job and her jersey's retired at Lehigh, right? You have Kristen Heidloff who played at Georgetown. You have all these people who are the coaches running class. Can you explain the importance of it being a former college or pro player leading class and not someone who was very good in high school?
Yeah, I think that we call it the aspirational component of our class experience. That our trainer, our certified coaches have to represent the highest levels of basketball that are leading the class for these folks. Like meaning, like if it's good enough for these, like the idea is that if it's good enough for an ex professional athlete or an ex Big East player or even an ex really good Division III player or just somebody, like you have to be a phenomenal athlete. So we always wanted to. We kind of I can give you like the formal answer, which is it's aspirational. I think it's a really important part of our brand that like this isn't just people who enjoy basketball. These are people who have trained and have played.
It's credibility, right?
And it's instant credibility when you look at our coaches' bios. And all of these coaches, by the way, they have day jobs. They're there because they love basketball and it's a very specific type. Not every ex-pro or collegiate basketball player is ever going to be a Swish House coach. There's vast majority of my college teammates would never in a million years be a Swish House coach. It takes a very specific type of hoops junkie, gym rat that like wants to do this. And you have to have the right personality, positive, like it's just some dog hoopers don't have the right personality for this, but it is without question the credibility that it brings. Like I also like to throw in the eastbound and down, like we like people who play real sports, not just people who are good at exercising, like, well, that's neat. You can run really fast on a treadmill. That's cool. Like, all right. Like that's, like it's a different, that's kind of that's the ego in me speaking and kind of trying to be funny, but it's true. I mean, it's just, there's an instant.
No, but I think what's important within that is, and I think it does then end up helping create the customer experience, is you are very clear on what your brand is and what it is not.
Yeah.
Right. And you're taking a stance to say other fitness is BS more or less. And we have the best fitness that you're going to have fun with and get in shape.
It's like basketball. Like some people, like a lot of these other organizations, and I only just use that as an example, is just like, we aren't into like, the I just find some of these experiences to be very contrived. They're fads that I just think that may or may not have staying power. And I think that, but I don't mean that I want to be very clear. It's not a disrespect. It's just more of I care about our business and I care about our brand. And I really care, we're all on the same team. Every fitness franchise is, we're all helping people get in shape and help people be healthier and happier. I think the big difference is ours is owned and operated by a team of ex-professional and collegiate athletes who really want to inspire people to get in shape doing something that they love, not something that they learn to love. So I think and they're the people that love basketball the most oftentimes are people who are really good at it. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody loves basketball as much as Jordan or Kobe or some of the the Taurasi's then a lot of us that run this company are like, poor man's and women's versions of those ultra elite NBA and WNBA Hall of Famers. So it's like, it's an aspirational and a motivational thing. And oh, by the way, like all of us have used the product. I mean, I've personally lost 35 pounds since starting the company and have been the best. I'm almost 41 years old. And I showed up at a big boy pickup game in the Bronx last week with a bunch of like 20 something, pros and, didn't die.
Yeah.
And like, still hang. And it's because of Swish House. That's the other thing is a lot of our members still hoop, and you come to Swish House a couple of times a week, like your skills just get so much better. And more importantly, just in basketball shape. I mean, there's a very big difference in running a lot on a treadmill or running a 5K, 10K or half marathon and showing up to like a pickup game. Like it's a very different type of cardio. So, I think that's the punchline is it's the credibility. And I think it's a really big differentiator. I don't think most of these, I've been to title boxing classes. Most of those people have never stepped in a ring and like beat someone up.
Yeah. Well, and I think as well, it's funny. Yeah, you're right about that. They learned how to be a title boxing instructor because they needed something to do.
It's not a knock. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
Like it's just a different, and like that matters to our business. I think it's a differentiator,
Yeah. I also think that as we think about this, how that helps create a very positive and unforgettable customer experience is the fact that like, I think in order to have a good customer experience, the employees have to be invested, like they have to be emotionally invested. And I think what you have is a bunch of people who they played at an elite level, but now basketball has been taken from their lives because they couldn't either continue playing for whatever reason, or they weren't able to make it pro, right?
Despite being, most of us that run the company used to be really, really good. And, no one cares about me that I played at Hillsdale College. No one's ever heard. It's a Division II school in Michigan. Right? I was pretty darn good back in the day, but the reality is no one cares about that. What people care about is, I think what our members care about isn't that I was good at Hillsdale. I mean, although it does matter and it's nice, they can look up my resume and everybody else's stats or whatever who are certified coaches. But more importantly, I love basketball, and basketball has changed my life multiple times. And I love sharing that passion with people. And I think that's what I mean by again, I say that tongue in cheek about the Kenny Powers, we play real sports, not just being good at exercise, but like it's also because like we care so much more about basketball, I think, than some of other fitness instructors might care about the things that they're doing. You know what I mean? Because they didn't grow up, doing, they didn't grow up they didn't grow up sleeping with a basketball like we all did.
Yeah. And it's actually funny enough. I think it works more in your favor of the approachability of the brand, that your pedigree as the founder is not that you played in the NBA. It's not that you played at Stanford or went to the Final Four or won the championship, right? I played in college. I played Division II college. So that is a high level of basketball, but I'm not so far like removed from the person who you watched on TV every day growing up to where you're going to say, oh, well, it's going to be out of reach for me because I'm not Derrick Rose or whomever. Right.
So that's also what I think is it's all, like I said, in order for a Swish House to have a thriving franchise, it takes great leaders to run the business, and great coaches with the right personalities and demeanors to run the fitness classes. And, you need the great leaders, you find the great spaces to operate out of. And then you market this and sell memberships to people who love basketball, and you keep them, at Swish House coming back because they love basketball, and we're constantly feeding them a really, really great product that they continue to want to come back to. But we always say, like, the Swish House is not our company; it's our members' company. Immediately thereafter, the second most important person at Swish House are the certified coaches, is in their pedigrees and their demeanors and their unrivaled love and passion for sharing, for basketball, and sharing that with people to inspire them to, one of our best members is getting married in a couple months, and he wants to, like, lose 15 pounds, for his tux.
Mm-hmm.
That to me, Jay's become a friend. Like, that's like, like that like actually really motivates me. You know what I mean? And it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing. That part of our brand. It's been very smart. We tried to avoid, I think what you were getting at is we're not like running around saying like, yo man, a lot of basketball culture is just, Instagram-y, look at us, look at me, look how awesome I am at basketball.
It's elitist. Yeah.
But Jonathon House, look how great I am. Like, look at me. I train pros. Like, no, man, like that's not the type of person we want. We want people who, it's not about them, and it's about helping others helping millions of people, get in shape and, be able to live a long, healthy life. Because we have, people in their 60s. My dad does the class. He's 72, that's the whole point, man, is it's about our members and about making them feel that way. Not an elitist kind of basketball mentality, which kind of is sometimes the culture, I feel like.
I've got one quick question before we hit our wrap up.
Yeah.
As you start to learn new drills, new elements of class that could possibly be incorporated, right? As you train new advisors and, new sports performance people, how do you decide if something that sounds cool, but it's not for Swish House versus, no, that's something that would absolutely work for Swish House?
Oh gosh, great. I think I understand the question. Just like making sure that we kind of don't try to be everything.
How do you protect? How do you prevent from getting into like, well, yeah, it's done in basketball, and so we're going to do it, but it actually takes away from the experience. How do you prevent that from happening?
I'll give you, I guess, two tangible examples of things that we've experimented with that have gone well at times, things have gone not so well at times. Like a lot of people ask, like, well, is there games? Like, do you guys play games in the class? It's like, no, it's a group fitness class. We don't, we're not a league, like I think people have come to us and be like, yo man, you guys need to launch a league. It's like, no, there's Sport and Social Club for that. Mm-hmm. There's Chicago, there's great companies that do a wonderful job of that. That is a different value proposition. So like, I think we've added a premium membership where for an extra like $40 a month, you can get access to pickup runs, or $10 for a drop-in pickup run at some of our places where we have extra gym time or offer organized pickup games. It's wonderful, but it's separate and distinct. It's not something we market super heavily because it's like Swish House Underground. Yeah. Ground pickup run, which is how I started the company. I ran the best pickup game in the city for like 6-7 years. It was amazing. And it was a great culture, and just 15 dudes would show up and on Mondays in the West Loop. It was great. But like I also, people have come to us like, hey, you need to start training kids and doing like travel teams. It's like there's 700 youth, some good, some awful, like youth businesses here in Chicago and every town in America. So I think we have been very, very smart, and we have one of our founders owns David Gardner owns a brand design firm called Color Jar, and he was so smart in advising us in our early days. Like, dude, don't try to. People are gonna remember one thing that you guys do. Like, we're the first basketball fitness class. As simple of a concept as it actually is, no one had ever done it before. We've seen people dabble with it, but I think we've been very, very smart about just saying we're going to be the best in like the history of mankind at running a basketball fitness class for anybody who loves the game. That's what it is. We're going to help millions of people who love basketball, regardless of their skill or fitness levels, get in shape for life, doing something they love, not something they tolerate, and learn to love, right? Which is what a lot of other fitness solutions are. Things you have to learn to love. Contrived experiences. I credit you and Startup Hype Man with helping us narrow that kind of pitch to our members. But like, that's what I think that I would advise any entrepreneurs, man. Like, don't anybody can come up with a cool idea, but executing on it and adhering to it and perfecting it before you try to go be everything to everybody, or offer, ancillary businesses, perfect one would be my advice. Does that answer your question? Is that what, Raj, what you're getting at?
It definitely does. Yeah.
So we, once you have scale at our fitness classes, which we kind of are at scale here in Chicago, and we're still very small, I think, compared to what we'll be in a few years, but we're big enough that we can experiment. Like, we got to pick up run on Sundays now. We got to pick up run on Wednesdays now. Like, we're experimenting with youth academy, Swish House Youth Academy, simply because I have 2 kids that love hoops, and they have friends whose parents want their kids to learn basketball from the team of pros, right? So it's a very natural thing we can do. And there's CrossFit kids classes, there's F45 kids classes. Like, you can do that, so, but you can't do that out of the gates and try to be everything to everybody. I learned that the really brutally hard way early on. So
yeah, you got to have one thing for a certain set of people to get them to know who you are and why they should care.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Let's hit our wrap up now. First off, where can our listeners find you, Jonathon, and learn more about you and learn more about Swish House?
Our website, swishhouse.com, and Instagram. A lot of our businesses drives off Instagram. So I think those are the two places. And then, if you live in Chicago, you live in Detroit, you live in Grand Rapids, Michigan, you live in Traverse City, Michigan, check us out. I think our next 2 cities, if I were putting money on, are going to be New York and Columbus, Ohio. So those are probably coming next, probably Indianapolis after that. But it's just our website's got everything there, and in Instagram, which is at Swish House Fit.
Who's one person who you want to shout out? Could be a friend, colleague, advisor, mentor, investor, partner. Who's one person you want to shout out?
Well, I already gave him some love early on, man. But Dave Holtzmiller is my best buddy from childhood. He's co-founder of the company. He's our president, runs the company full time now. He is the guy that has done all of the hardest, most challenging, really, really, really high level legal financial work. Like, Dave does all the stuff behind the scenes that no one sees on the court. Smartest guy that I know. Happened to grow up with him on he was the kid that you grew up with that, was a first team all-state football player and hooper, and also got a 35 ACT or something. It was was brilliant. And it's just, more importantly than anything, just a great dude, humble. Some of us, me included, can be a bit more, boisterous and, mouthed about stuff. You know what I mean? No ego. And Dave, and he's the guy that makes this thing work, and he's the adult in the room, so Dave and people in Chicago and other parts of the country, that where we have guys, they don't know him. They know me and Trevor more often than not as the face guys, but definitely Dave Holtzmiller. And you need a Dave Holtzmiller to run a major real company, and he's the guy that makes this thing hum. No doubt.
We'll now do our top 1 or 2 lessons or takeaways for the listeners based on the discussion today. I'll go first and I'll toss it to you. Our topic today was driving 85% retention, as Swish House has done with unforgettable customer experiences. I think one of the biggest lessons I've got from today, that I think whether you have a basketball fitness class or whether you have a SaaS software or anything in between, is give your customers a way to experience the win early and often. And the win, even if it's software, can be, oh yeah, I can learn, I can do this, right? Or is it a confirmation email that's just a little bit more affirming than, we have your information, right? Those kinds of things. How do you help them experience the win early and often? And I'll tell you, in my most recent Swish House experience, I hit 5 game balls, including the class ending game ball.
Oh boy.
And I don't think I've ever felt that good about basketball in my entire life.
He skipped life.
Jonathon, top 1 or 2 lessons or takeaways on on unforgettable customer experiences.
I would say, I want to make sure I understand the question. Just a couple things that for any of your listeners on, just to take away for their customers. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. What have you learned in your journey on customer experience that you feel is important for everyone to know?
Oh, I think it is. This is, and again, this is, just coming from my lens, and we didn't talk about like my career has been in the financial. My previous career has been in the financial services world of 401k investing and selling investment products and advisory services. So I'm long and short. It doesn't matter what I'm selling. I'm a lifelong salesman. So salesmen and women are conquerors. They want to move on to the next thing. They want to oh, hey, we got Raj as a member. Let's go get 10 more members. We got 10 more members last week. Let's go get 10 more members. I would say, yeah, that's great. Growth is great. Retention and getting to know your customers is so important. Like I'm forcing myself to focus less on conversions and just selling memberships and more on like, man, go shake hands with every Raj that we have. You know what I mean? Like you and I have gotten to know each other, become boys. Like every time I go to class, I make a new friend, and like, you just have to get to know them and understand, like, why did you join? How'd you hear about us? Like, what drew you to it? Like, you have to talk to them, because the more that you get to know these people, they're your greatest salespeople. Not even though I'm as highly skilled and trained as any salespeople get. But to me, it's just more like farming and tilling your existing land and that. So that's the first thing. That's just my knee jerk. My biggest advice as a salesman is, or just as a CEO founder, is like, you can have the sexiest Instagram and the sexiest, video website. And we live in a world of just fortunately, we live in a world of just a lot of like fake people.
Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors. And if you don't have a great product, stop marketing. Stop. Just perfect the product. Dave and I, when we started this company, we got so cocky and out over our skis early on. We were just like, we have like 50 members. Let's open up like 100 locations. You know what I mean? We're just like, no. Your class experience actually sucks. Like if you'd have come to a class in 2018, it's not the same as it was. Let's just leave it at that, man. Like when we were experimenting. So I would say it's perfect your product. Anybody can have an idea. Executing a real legitimate product and member experience takes time, and just, perfect a product first before you start investing any semblance of money on advertising and marketing and pimped out video. We spent 15 grand on a promo, like building a promo video, like in our early days. That was like it was a hilarious percentage of our budget. It was like one video. It was pretty cool. It wasn't that cool. Like it really wasn't that cool. Like I'll never forget that. Like, and it was like really well done. But like, so I think that's it. It's to me, it's just focus exclusively on product development and build the great product before you start telling the world about it. And then it's immediately thereafter, I would say, is just get to know your ground floor 50, 100. I think, once you get to like 150 members, then, the law of numbers and some of the Malcolm Gladwell books I've read, like, it's like, you don't really have like a base of members to get to like 150 people that are like really like digging it. And then you can, so yeah, I think those are the two, no doubt.
My final question, which is how we end every episode on this show, fill in the blank, Jonathon. Entrepreneurship is blank.
Designed for this. I've actually looked at it. Entrepreneurship is designed for people with thick skin.
Say more on that.
Like you there, I could name 5 or 6 times where I was just like, I'm folding it up. This is too hard. It's too hard. Like it's just like but then you have, if you believe in it, you have to stick with it, man. And we built this, like, I cannot wait until like there's nobody rocking masks in Chicago, like summer, hopefully this summer, and like the pandemic just gonzo, man. Like we built this thing in the middle of a friggin' pandemic when half the world was scared to go outside, let alone go like exercise indoors. So we have the thickest skin in the world. I think we can make it through anything. And I just think, entrepreneurship, everybody thinks they want to be an entrepreneur and own their own business. It's, my God, it's really challenging. And when your name's on the door and it's your own money, and you have a spouse, you have kids, it's like, don't quit your day job until this thing's got legs, or it can sustain you and your family. So just, I think, as cool as being your business owner in a startup and making $1 zillion, watching Shark Tank, all that stuff, man, like, you better be prepped for having the thickest skin and getting just completely humiliated, and being able to like pick yourself up and walk back in. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because
entrepreneurship is designed for thick skin. He is Jonathon Dues, co-founder and CEO of Swish House. Jonathon, thank you so much for joining us today on Startup Hype Man, the podcast.
My pleasure, man. Thank you, Raj.
That does it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, go ahead and leave a rating and review in your podcast app, or do us one better. Hit the share button, send this episode to one friend who you think needs to hear it. While you're on your way out, don't forget to follow Startup Hype Man on Instagram and LinkedIn at Startup Hype Man. And remember, you can also connect with today's guest as well. They left their contact info. They love hearing if what they shared helped you in any way. StartupHypeMan.com is the place to catch the full 17-season archive and learn all about how to pitch your startup. We'll see you next week, but until then, stay hyped. Raj Nation out.